तू मेरी बात नहीं समझ रहा है। मुझे कुछ भी करके उस अपोजिशन के कदम पे करप्शन का धब्बा लगाना है।
But Shikre sir, he's a good leader. Just look what all he has done for the people. Food and money to the poor, giving an old lady a shawl, chocolates for the kids. He has a very clean record. हम उसे गलत दिखा ही नहीं सकते।
Hey, तेरा नाम क्या है रे?
प्रकाश।
तो आकाश, लाइफ में कुछ भी करने का, लेकिन रियल शिकरे को ना नहीं बोलने का। Reverse all the videos.
Breaking news. एमएलए कदम ने बच्चे से चुराई चॉकलेट और उसे फेंक दिया। एक बुड्ढी से चुराई शॉल और उसे ठंड में मरने के लिए छोड़ दिया। गरीबों से खाना लेके अपने पेट में भर लिया।
After 2 years of creating content, I have learned a thing or two about how powerful the voice and judgment of the audience is. Whenever we produce a video, it's like holding a mirror to ourselves, and it makes me realize why they say that media is democracy's fourth pillar. Its primary role is to speak truth to power. And seeing these tweets on X got me thinking, do election campaigns have to be entertaining? Is keeping up with the Karyakartas a show we need? But then I realized something. The role of media today has changed.
We shut him down. Talking. I'm not talking. It's the other guy who's talking.
They no longer speak truth to power. They now manufacture the truth. Now, you think that's an offensive statement? Let me present a few facts around this. You know, 103 crores was spent just between December to March on political ads, according to one Meta and Google estimate. From 2019 to 2023, BJP alone spent 33 crores, which is 10% of all the money that advertisers spend to run Facebook ads in India. If you look at the chart, you'll notice that the other parties aren't too far behind. And if these ad spends are not shocking enough, the ongoing general elections are dubbed as the influencer elections.
तो आप कितना ध्यान मतलब थंबनेल वगैरह या चैनल का एनालिटिक्स ये सब पे ध्यान देते हो आप या नहीं?
But are politicians running these ads?
नौटंकी कहीं के।
आपका कोर बिजनेस क्या है? चूने का है सर।
तो आप चूना बनाते हो? आपकी तुलसी भी यहीं खड़ी है।
Are politicians deciding which influencer to partner with or which podcast to appear on?
Are you planning to get married anytime soon?
Well,
No marriage on
when the right girl comes along, I get married.
Why are you doing this podcast today?
I have no idea.
With data sourced from Google Ads Transparency Center, it turns out that it's political consultancies that are among the top 2 spenders. So I started digging into political consultancies in India, and did you know it is an industry worth 2,500 crores? This got me intrigued. What does a political consultancy even do? Why is their work not discussed publicly? And can political consultants swing elections? How do they even have so much sway? And should we as citizens be concerned about its impact on a democracy? In today's video, we will answer all these questions and unpack the business of political consultancies in India and how they've cracked the art and science of election campaigns. Before we get into the analysis, you should know that we are not making this video to promote any party or politician's work, but also not in the business of predicting who wins the elections. So if you are here for any of that, you will be disappointed. Now, what does a political consultancy do? They monetize political chaos.
Never ever.
Let's look at how they do it by understanding it from a business perspective. Now, do you remember this ad? Or this one?
Washing powder Nirma, washing powder Nirma.
So these jingles are consistently used by brands. And the thing to note here is that consistently using these jingles helps the brand create a brand association and recall between an emotion and the advertised product. Here's another example of this. Do you recall this guy from Trivago?
Hotel Trivago.
So the more consistently a brand creates an association between the product and an emotion the consumer feels, the more consumers trust the brand. Now that got me thinking. Companies sell products through brand building. But what do political parties sell through brand building? Political parties sell trust through building their brand. See, if you look at a company, they earn money by selling a product. But a political party earns power by selling trust in exchange for votes. See, to continue a business, the product has to keep selling. Similarly, to remain in power, a political party has to keep selling and building trust constantly. You see, it's a loop of how transactions work in political parties and in companies. But earning power is more complex than earning money, making branding as crucial in politics as in business. And this is where political consultancies play a huge role. They basically help a political party create a game plan on how to fight an election. More specifically, they help a party pitch a product in a way that builds trust and earns votes. See, politics and politicians are selling ideas and intangible promises. A citizen can't return or exchange a vote once it's cast like they would if a product fails. So the trust has to be unshakable. You could think of earning votes during elections like shopping from a one-time sale. But to make that sale happen, political parties need to create brand campaigns and make citizens aware of what is on sale.
Well, sir, हमारे सर्वे के अनुसार आपके पिछले 4 सालों के टर्म में पोल्यूशन, करप्शन, इन्फ्लेशन सब कुछ बढ़ चुका है। लाखों घरों में सिलेंडर्स नहीं पहुंचे, 10 नेशनल हाईवेज ऑफ रोड में कन्वर्ट हो चुके हैं और एक पूरे शहर की पाइपलाइन टूट चुकी है। हमें कुछ ऑथेंटिक करना पड़ेगा, कुछ रिलेटेबल, जिससे आप लोगों को कूल लगे। हमें एक व्लॉग बनाना चाहिए।
ऑथेंटिक? पूरे मार्केट में रियल शिकरे से ज्यादा ऑथेंटिक कोई और नहीं है। चलो गाड़ी काट रहे।
For example, BJP's
अब की बार मोदी सरकार
campaign was centered around highlighting the corruption scams and price rise under Congress. BJP and specifically Modi made a case for why he was best suited to rid the country from a corrupt government.
नो करप्शन, नो भ्रष्टाचार, इसीलिए अब की बार मोदी।
Now let me take you back in time to show you how this has evolved. So in the past, for the 1952 to 1991 elections, Indian politicians campaigned using countrywide rallies. The party activists would persuade voters with door-to-door meetings, distributing posters, handbills, and leaflets popularizing the campaign theme. Public walls and street theatre too were used to communicate a campaign philosophy. Then in 1984, political advertising began when Rajiv Gandhi felt that electioneering needed proper marketing and communication techniques. Rallies, wall posters, and street theatre worked back then because the public was scattered across a large geography. But given the current times, the public is found on the internet. And since the public has moved online, the politician's brand also needed to move online. This, in fact, has changed election campaigning because reels became more useful than rallies. Moreover, data on how citizens think, act, behave, and make choices is sourced from how they use social media. But translating data into strategies of election campaigns requires someone to crunch the numbers, verify it with on-ground market surveys, and then advise the political party on how they can position themselves. This is where the role of political consultants becomes inevitable. While political consultancies are common across the globe, in India, BJP's 2014 win was the canon event that led to the eventual rise of political consultancies.
The NDA has won the election of 2014.
The consultancy credited for the 2014 win is IPAC. Now let's look at what IPAC does before we find out how it was formed in the next section. Firstly, IPAC has an on-ground survey team, which is basically a vast network of foot soldiers who are deployed to gather micro-level details from potential voters. These workers go door-to-door during the pre-poll stage to ask residents and citizens their opinions on civic issues, welfare measures, whatever it is that ails them. They collect extensive street-level information on what voters expect from their incoming government. Then there's a team that works with influential people in the constituency. Thirdly, they have a team that does data crunching, primary and secondary research to make sense of all the incoming data. And lastly is a media team that works on both traditional and new age media to promote the campaigns. Now, the collective work of all these teams helps political consultancies come up with the plan for the party they are consulting. Through their research, they suggest the party on who should be the campaign face, what are the potential voters' key complaint areas, who is the most upset voter base, and how to win them over. So these consultancies look at various areas having different demographics as vote banks. And politicians want to win all the vote banks possible, so these consultancies deploy strategies for each vote bank accordingly. For example, while we were doing our research, we were speaking to people from the industry, and they shared that how they also do an analysis to understand how religion, caste, creed matter to the average voter. Now, another way they provide insights is if one of the vote banks is not satisfied with their work, they'll create a plan on how this politician can win them over. And it's very interesting to note that while we see all this from a very meta perspective, this industry insider shares with us how different vote banks demand different things. For example, in many areas, the average voter does not care for complex manifestos. Rather, they might care about things like how many times they saw the MP's face or saw the MP in public events, because the voters build a parasocial relationship with a politician in their head through these meet and greets. So these political consultancies will advise the politician that, hey, this vote bank needs to see you more in person. They need more face-to-face time with you if you want to win trust here. Another example of how political consultancies help is, see, when Trinamool Congress's Mamata Banerjee hired IPAC for 2021 state elections, the firm advised her not to engage with the Hindu-Muslim binary discourse and govern the state without using state machinery to drive violence. She was also advised to carry briefing papers to avoid making unnecessary remarks in public, which helped her image. Now, if you remember at the start of the video, I spoke about brand association, products, and political parties. In politics now, the product is no longer just the political party, but the individual politician.
दूल्हा हम बनेंगे, इज्जत की कोई कमी नहीं है।
ए भाई, तुम तो रहने ही दो।
How did this happen? Why did the politician become a bigger product? Take the case of Barack Obama's election campaign in 2008, who was unknown till 2004 even in the US. He also faced criticism for his lack of experience and over-the-top speeches. But his campaign did one thing. It made the politician's personality a driving factor of an election campaign. You know, in many ways, Obama's election campaign strategy modernized election campaigns world over. In fact, we saw a version of Obama's strategy play out during the 2014 Narendra Modi campaign, where Modi's persona took center stage. And the 2014 brand Modi, in spite of being a decade old, continues to have far-reaching effects.
It is a huge pleasure to welcome Prime Minister Modi to Australia.
There were two key figures who helped create the 2014 brand Modi. First was Sunil Kanugolu, a McKinsey consultant who introduced data analytics to Modi's outreach strategy, and Prashant Kishore, who led Modi's successful 2014 campaign after helping him win a third term in Gujarat. Even though both of them later formed two separate political consultancies, that's IPAC and ABM, Prashant Kishore today has become the face of political consultancies and branding in India. How did they do it? To put it quite simply, Prashant Kishore led IPAC perfected the art and science behind election campaigns. Now, what does that mean? See, as citizens, election campaigns come across as simple brand building exercises, but a key element at work here is the art of creating a compelling narrative. It is the kind of story that grabs your attention from all the noise that surrounds you. For example, look at a brand like the Whole Truth Foods. They launched products like protein and granola bars in a market that was full of foreign brands. Now, to stand out in such a noisy market, their name, The Whole Truth, helped a lot. But what helped even more was creating a narrative around how food labels do not depict accurate information. Every other action by the brand borrowed from that one simple plot line: inaccurate labels. Similarly, in politics, all actions stem from a narrative. In a political context, questions like what are people saying of the ruling party, the opposition, what is the political discussion, what hidden feeling of the collective is not being addressed, helps them identify that narrative. And it's interesting because narrative A might work for one vote bank, but for the other vote bank, you might need to present a totally different narrative. So political consultants come up with different targeted narratives to win each area. And it's these narratives that can make or break your campaign. For example, right before India's 2014 elections, in an interview of brand managers, Santosh Desai said, "The lack of a strong narrative makes the question, what is Rahul Gandhi difficult to answer? Now, these narratives are usually woven only around two ideas, that is fear or hope. Let's understand this using two examples. For Nitish Kumar's 2015 Bihar Assembly elections, a 7-point development agenda called Nitish Ke Nischay, which promised job creation, improved education, and better infrastructure, was created with a view to promote Nitish as a leader people could hope for. The campaign highlighted Nitish Kumar's successful track record in governance, emphasizing the development work he had done in his previous terms. On the other hand, for the 2021 West Bengal Assembly elections, the campaign played on the fears of Bengali identity and culture being threatened by the BJP, which was seen as an outsider party. Slogans like Bengal wants its own daughter and Bangla Nijer Mekiche portrayed Mamata Banerjee as a defender of Bengali interests against the threat of Hindi imposition and cultural domination by the BJP. A sense of fear was created around why Mamata Banerjee was the better choice. So based on the dominant sentiment of the population, a consultancy plays an important role on devising a campaign plan that could be positioned as a savior from the issues faced publicly. But how do they know what the dominant sentiment is? How can such data even be found through surveys or interviews? To answer this question, we have to grapple with the idea of shadow politics.
भाइयों और बहनों, जब आप मुझे यानी कि कुर्सी को वोट देते हैं, तब मैं आपको गारंटी देता हूं कि कांदा 1 किलो कांदा मिलेगा आपको और माइनॉरिटीज को कांदा खरीदना बैन। और एक विशेष मुद्दा जो मैं आज बोलना चाहूंगा, कुत्ते लोगों को रास्ते से हटाऊंगा मैं। अगर कुत्ते लोग रास्ते से नहीं हटे तो मैं खुद कुत्ता बन जाऊंगा। बुढ़े लोगों को मेट्रो में आना बंद, किसी को ऑफिस जाने को लेट नहीं हो पाएगा। अगर बुढ़े मेट्रो में दिखे तो मेरे पुतले जला देना।
Now, when I started reading about this, it worried me a little, and I'll tell you why. So, shadow politics basically refers to the idea that political campaigns have two different sides. One is the official, public side that all of you see. Second is the unofficial, hidden side that works behind the scenes. Political consultants have 50 ways of micro-targeting voters, suggesting a high level of precision and depth in their election operations. As many as 150 parameters are used to determine influencers, including basic data like gender and age, as well as complex information like spending patterns, political sentiments expressed on social media. And by the way, all of this happens across party lines now. It's basically become about winning an election at all costs. These political consultants actively work to purge morality from their data-driven operations, prioritizing business interests over ethical considerations. This is scary because this mindset can lead to the spread of disinformation and extreme content. So while the public face of the campaign might seem to be around building a narrative, the way to get there is full of loopholes. It has gotten so fierce that they will stop at nothing when it comes to winning the election. In fact, after IPAC's 2014 success, the industry has only become all the more professional. A case study on the political marketing landscape in India highlighted that the industry now employs around 30,000 people. Many of Kishore's old staff at IPAC established their own election management firms catering to different political requirements across the country. If you look at the modern politicians now, they do not have their ear to the ground as much as they did back in the day. How their voter thinks, what their voter wants, what they do is outsourced to these consultancies with the aim to arrive at an accurate understanding and thus craft strategies to target this voter. If anything, you can see how common political consultancies have become now. Inclusive Minds, headed by Sunil Kanugalu, works exclusively for Congress, a detail which we had covered in our video on Karnataka's elections. ABM, founded by Himanshu Singh, works exclusively for BJP and is credited with the Maybe Chaukidar campaign, while Varahe Analytics, run by Rangesh Sridhar, focuses on southern states for BJP. But these are just a few marquee names. There are so many other digital marketing and social media marketing firms catering only and only to politicians. Sadly though, the discussion around political consultancies is not mainstream even though the media reports it. Naresh Arora, Designworks founder, an agency which worked on multiple election campaigns, said in an interview that this industry has got acceptance among politicians, but they don't like to name us for their success. No politician wants to reveal that he's getting advice by a consultancy firm. This brings us to the flip side of political professionalism. Why are these names not revealed publicly? See, given the complexity and noise in our public world, political consultancies will continue to rise. But creating an image for a politician or a political party using data from citizens to influence an election brings forward questions about privacy and trust. When we vote for a party, we entrust them to improve our lives. But when the truth and trust are so manufactured, how do we value the votes we give? This brings us to some of the second order effects of such public-private partnerships. Ideology takes a backseat as winning becomes the sole focus. Constant exposure to manipulative content increases public cynicism. The involvement of more stakeholders inflates election costs.
The demand for chartered planes and helicopters is expected to jump by up to 40% compared to the previous general elections.
Consultancies face no accountability for undelivered promises post-elections. These effects not only impact citizens but also the political landscape, as a lack of transparency in consultancy party collaborations can lead to a lot of unchecked practices. But instead of coloring your opinion with mine, I would like to ask you if you think there are ways to ensure political consultancies do not become exploitative, or do you think we should be more trusting of herd intelligence and let people make sense of their political words? We would love to know what you think in the comments. Do subscribe and share this video for somebody who might want to learn more about political consultancies. Till then, I'm Ashina Maya from AVTV. See you in the next video.
Hey, तेरा नाम क्या है? रजनीश. ना मनीष, अच्छे से शूट करने का है. हाँ. Hello guys, welcome to my vlog subscribers. इसको बोला था मैंने मेरे पे मीम नहीं बनाने को. 1 महीने पहले तक मेरे को सपोर्ट करता था और जैसे ही MNU की लड़की को पटाने का टाइम आया तो मेरे पे एडिट बनाने लगा. क्या रे, इसको पैसे भिजवाए थे मैंने पेड प्रमोशन के लिए, पैसे मेरे को वापस कर दिए ना बोल के. इसको पता नहीं था मुझे कुछ भी करने का, लेकिन मेरे को ना नहीं बोलने का. गपचुप मुझे सब्सक्राइब करो वरना कट.